I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Welcome back to FAQ The Madness. We respectfully exercise our First Amendment right to publish interactions with government officials through the unbiased view of a camera. Let's jump into another rep.
Recording. I'm going to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter when you are, where you are, who you are, how you are. I hope you're doing well. This is generally specific. We're doing Frequently Asked Questions, a new show with Back the Madness. Frequently Asked Questions, or you can interpret it as F the Madness, I guess, if you really want to. We're going to go ahead and introduce Craig here. I'm going to give you a little about him, and then I'll allow him to fill in whatever he wants to fill in. This is Craig from Fact the Madness. His thing is he says that he's actively he's repping First Amendment interactions through the lens of the camera and the objective witness. I added that part. Respect. I offer respect for the law, government officials, and fellow Americans. Exercise. If you don't know your rights, you are at a disadvantage. If you don't exercise your rights, you lose them. Publish. Government. His goal is to publish government officials, including police officers. They should be held accountable for their actions. Our stories highlight both failures and successes. The one who knows all the answers has not been asked all the questions. Confucius. That is a quote. Craig says, I respectfully explore frequently asked questions about our First Amendment rights. Feel free to question whether or not I accomplish this goal. If you have a story that you would like for us to cover, meaning FAQ, says please access and fill out the media submission and licensing form on his page, which you are seeing right here. If you bring up, remove this real quick. If you bring up his I can turn that off. Duct Tape Productions. Hold on for a second. So if you go to his thing, you click on the little arrow over here, and you go to the right there. There's the link that you can copy and paste. That's if you want to submit any kind of a video for him to check out. I need to do the same thing. I'm going to get with Craig about setting that up. It's kind of like Lackluster and Craig are the only two that I've seen do that so far. So, and I think that's awesome.
And I've yet to get one submission, so
you never know.
But for those who care to know, I absolutely did get the model for me doing that from Lackluster. I've never submitted anything to Lackluster, but if there ever was a video that I had, I would probably go to him and submit it. But I did look at his, the way he had it set up, and I modeled it right after his. So if you ever want to either check out mine or check out his, it's going to be the same thing.
I'm going to give Nikki an opportunity to say good morning to everyone. And then, Craig, you can fill in anything that I might have missed.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here. Remember to share, subscribe, and find that thumbs up button.
Excellent. And Nikki, by the way, if you also find some research or anything you think is interesting and you want to share it, that it might be a blind spot to both Craig and I. Craig, if you're okay with that, I think it's more of a collaboration. This is not intended to be a debate in any way, shape, or form. And so just share it in the private chat. And if I don't recognize it or respond to it or something like that, if you could just say check the privates. Well, no, that sounds a little creepy. But Craig, go ahead without further ado.
Now, I do want to say that I really truly think that it's that, as Todd puts it, January Specific puts it, that it is a collaborative discussion that we attempt to have. Now, we are not always going to agree. In fact, my first effort at trying to do a video that kind of goes over what we talk about, the way it came out was completely different from what it is that I wanted it to be. I never want to make it seem as though I'm mocking Todd in any kind of way, whether I agree with him or disagree with him. I try to conduct myself that way on the show. And as I explore my own personal thoughts away from the show, and keep in mind, this show is we did this show for 3 hours. And this video, what you see right now, which is my representation of the time that I put in to discuss these things, go back and review and put my thoughts into it, is only going to be like, 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, if that. So you're not going to get the whole story from this interaction right here. And you certainly still might not get it if you go back to the original video. I encourage you to do so. Support his channel, hear his thoughts, and take what I put here and kind of put them all together. We are going to have this show multiple times on Tuesdays for now, and we're going to be discussing things that we may not agree about. So my point is that it is meant to be a collaborative journey through a particular issue. In this case, it happens to be the Breonna Taylor murder. So I see a fellow Hoosier in the Indiana Auditor.
Nice.
I don't know if it says anything about where I'm at, but my first video, or one of my first few videos, was in Indiana. So hello, Indiana Auditor. Yeah, GS and I have spoken with each other on numerous occasions, and I know we brought up J6, January 6th on occasion, and we've also talked about Breonna on some level. So we kind of put our heads together and said that we might just have a little discussion about it. So,
we're gonna talk about all kinds of topics that I think deserve a little explanation, because there's such a divergence between, I guess, the left and the right wing of the same bird, which is kind of bizarre. If one of them ends up taking control, then the bird just flies in circles. So let's get some.
What do you call yourself? What do you call yourself? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. If you are mostly neither left or right,
I think it's kind of I'm registered independent. I would say objective. That's what I seek to be, objective. But like I said, we're uncovering blind spots. I might have some that I'm not aware of, right? It's like Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the nose. So I just want to say hi to a few people in the chat. I want to recognize some people. We got Bubba the Bird, came on a half hour early. He outdid everyone, basically said first without saying first. He said, see you in a half hour. Looking forward to this. Tim Otta, good to see you. Morning, y'all. I have just enough time to build coffee since the sun is barely up over here in Arizona. Cliff, hey, what's up, Cliff? Good to see you. Rats is in the house. Freddie, Danny's thoughts. I'm gonna try to go pretty quickly here, and we already said Rats, but Indiana Audit was recognized by Craig earlier. And we have Huntington Township Watch. Definitely, if I can get some of the mods to link some of these channels, that would be awesome. Am I missing anyone? Oh, Vegas Vips. Good to see you. Check the privates. Demonetized. You see, I love it. We got good sense of humor in here. All right. Alrighty. I think that's, and we got Nikki, of course. I think that's everyone. Did I miss anyone? Lion one. All right, scrolling down. All right, this seems shameless now. All right, well, good to see y'all. We got 15 in the channel. How many thumbs ups do we have, guys? Anyone know? Hit that like button if you could. Like, share, and subscribe. How dare you? I don't think I did mine either. Hold on. Gotta get it. There you go. Oh, we're up. Looks like we're up to 8, maybe. Okay. 1 second. Dang it. Denang me. Grab a rope and hang me.
I never heard that denang me. I don't even know where that came from, but yeah, I did like.
I would actually like to offer Craig, if Craig had anything prepared whatsoever. I did send him a BBC article. I figured, why go CNN? Why go Fox News? Why not go out of country? And maybe we'll split the difference a little bit. And if he doesn't mind, maybe we can start by kind of perusing and reading that and try to glean what some of the information may or may not be. Craig, I don't know what's that?
No, I have that link, and also I will put in the chat on your side, the private chat, just the other link that I have,
Awesome.
which I didn't share with you earlier. So just to explain, this is one of the we've done. So Todd and I have done, Gender Specific and I have done three shows. The very first one we did was on Breonna Taylor. This was the first one, and he jokingly refers to his production as Duct Tape Productions, meaning it's not always perfectly produced, and it's a learning process, and I totally understand it. Similarly, I'm in the same boat, which again includes some of the things that I want my approach to be, and that either comes out in editing or not. So, I mean, it's all a work in progress, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for Generally Specific. So any indication otherwise is just something that is a fault on my behalf, and nothing to do with our relationship, the respect that I have. You can clearly see that we give each other respect on this show, and anything I do outside of that is hopefully just to kind of go further into my own thoughts. And ideally, we go through those things when we're on the show. So, my desire is to basically be able to give a good representation in a very short space of time of what it is that we talked about a particular subject. So
actually, I'll play this video first, and we'll just kind of take a peek and see how divergent some of these things could be, or how accurate they are. So this is from WHAS, I think 11, I think it is, and that's a local. I'm like 45 minutes away from Louisville, 45 minutes, somewhere in that area. So this is pretty close to my home. All right, let's go ahead and give this a play first.
Officers not involved in the shooting described the scene as chaotic when they arrived in the minutes after. One of those was a member of the LMPD SWAT team who had been serving a warrant across town, but switched gears after learning about the injured officer. Through his body camera, we see what he saw.
An officer shot on Springfield, and they're requesting armor down there.
Loading up into an armored vehicle, Sergeant Brandon Hogan and his team head to Springfield Ave, where police have just shot and killed Breonna Taylor.
All right, go.
Hogan and others were serving a warrant across town on Elliott Avenue, one of the other locations listed as part of the narcotics raid.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of pause it here. It just kind of this is basically the same uniform I wore when I was opposition force, Op 4, down at Fort Polk, Louisiana, JRTC. I'm a little irritated. We call these people like this, call them gear queers. They got all the gear, they got all the high-speed gear. They just can't wait to kick somebody's door in. That's what they train for. This is a military exercise. Just the overall optics of this has me feeling a certain kind of way. And the fact that, I don't know, I guess in a situation where if there was a terrorist attack on our country or something like that, I'd probably be glad we have elements like this that are trained for it. But it seems to me that in the eyes of the government, we might be the terrorists. So I'm just saying, look, I love law and order. I really do. I'd rather have law and order than chaos any day of the week. But this freeze frame is very, very, and this is my first time seeing this. So this is
I got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So it's interesting that you bring this up, but so in your mind, do you think that there is like a uniform that a person should be wearing? I mean, as far as readiness goes and comfortable, being comfortable and have all the equipment that they need.
So the question is, ready for what? Because these men look like they're ready for war. And these are police, which are intended to police American citizens. So the question is, the question is, ready for what? Do you see what I'm saying? And it's like, if you think SWAT needed to kick Breonna Taylor's door down at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I mean, you're military, I'm military. If somebody's banging on my door in the middle of the night, especially in Louisville, Kentucky, where there's like 4 or 5 shootings every night, crimes constantly, I'm gonna be grabbing my 9. I'm gonna be, or whatever I have. That's you know what I'm saying, and that puts me in danger because
For sure.
I'm thinking someone's trying to break into my house, and then you got these, these GI Joes here, which are supposed to be police officers. I'm glad they have the right equipment, but it's a little weird to me. I mean, it's a great question, but my response to that be ready for what?
So to clarify for you and the audience, the images that you're showing right now are from SWAT who was in a different location than where Breonna was. So
They're,
after they had after the incident had occurred with Breonna and they were conducting another raid on a different property, they are now headed towards where Breonna has already been shot.
okay.
These guys.
Right. The factual. Thank you for pointing that out. Factually, that's a good catch. The issue I have with this is why are they dressed like they're ready to go to war? There's a difference between being prepared and looking like you're special forces getting ready to take out Osama bin Laden. Do you know what I'm saying?
I will. Now, I think that, I mean, I understand the point that he's making here, and I think I may even allude to the fact that I understand that he has knowledge of, what a person that is preparing for war looks like, etc. But I believe that because of the mission at hand, a SWAT raid, those kind of things, that they need to be prepared in a certain way. I don't know if I'm so convinced that just because they're police, that they can't be properly prepared or properly attired in order to accomplish a particular mission, in this case, a raid. Now, they are headed towards to give assistance to the officers that were on scene at the Breonna Taylor location. And he indicates that he may have it a little confused, but I mean, his point is well taken. Do we want or do we have officers that are on our streets, patrolling our streets in full riot gear or full, war gear? I say no, and I think that's the point that he's making here, which is a fair enough point. Concede to your knowledge in that area because I've never been, in theater, so to speak. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, you would have more knowledge than me than that. So,
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit lighter than what we'd wear, but it's pretty close.
As they arrive on scene, the team picks up on the chaos.
What just happened? What's going on?
Noticing officers pointing their weapons across the path SWAT plans to take.
If you're not on SWAT, lift your fire. We're going up.
The team makes their way to Taylor's front door, where they're the first of any first responders to go inside.
So they're the first to go inside, as Craig rightly pointed out. I probably would have missed that, and this is why I'm very glad that Craig is paying attention. Thank you. Because there could have been a misunderstanding that they might have been in some way possibly related to the actual shooting. They're there for the aftermath, it seems, right?
Aha! Aha!
So let's continue into it.
Hogan describes those moments 1 week later, talking to investigators.
You can immediately see her. She's in the very back, down. Looks like she's 1080. Right off the bat, it looks like she's 1080.
Walking through the apartment, the team clears every.
I don't like that term 1080. To me, it's to me. I don't know, Craig. What do you think of that? I mean, I understand it's a code for I'm guessing deceased or dead or expired or 1080 is like. I mean, are we not more than numbers?
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of dehumanize the incident in general, at least that from his perspective. But I mean, I think if you watch enough stuff, I think cops are always talking that way. I'm 10-2, 10-4, whatever, all that stuff. So I think 1080 is what he refers to as deceased. And now we say unalive now when we're talking on YouTube.
I don't want him to, get in there and That's just food guy stuff. Like, you get in there and you miss a crime scene, you start kicking showcases around. I didn't want that to happen.
Despite his efforts, it does happen, but not by one of his guys. It was former LMPD detective Brett Hankinson.
So I think it's Jason here. Sorry.
Hankinson walks up to the door of the apartment and then walks inside. Hogan suggests he leave.
Well, I'd back out until they get TIU in here.
Hogan later tells investigators that moment.
I mean, was that the guy that shot Breonna? Was he just trying to see his handiwork? I'm just curious. Like, I mean, it's a crime scene.
All of the above.
No, man, your officer involved shooting. You think he'd want to keep himself out of there? I don't know, man. I don't know a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? I haven't been in a whole lot of trouble in my life, so.
Stood out. In his experience, an officer involved in a shooting wouldn't want.
And by the way, Craig, if you want to comment on anything at all, just come up on the net and let me know, okay?
Yep.
If you want me to back up in the video or anything like that, just
under a crime scene afterwards. After Hankinson leaves, the SWAT team follows, turning over the scene to forensic experts who would go on to process the evidence for the next 12 hours.
I think he was not completely aware of how the events, how the events played out until we go a little bit further in. So, So before you go on, I'm going to ask you a question. You can tell me what you think about this. So the footage that we just saw was from the SWAT individuals, as I said, that were on a different scene, coming to another scene. Do you think that there was or should have been or should be footage from the people that were already there?
I could look for it. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm asking if you think that there should be.
Well, there was, according to this news article that I perused a little bit. I didn't completely read it, but apparently there was no cameras turned on. But yeah, should there be? Absolutely. If you have cameras or access to cameras, there should always be. The camera should be on.
Yeah.
Why they weren't on is kind of interesting. So we'll go ahead and get into. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we have cameras, that's what we spend that tax dollars for, right? For accountability, transparency. All right. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to pause that over here, and then we're going to go back to this. I mean, it's a great question. Breonna Taylor, what happened on the night of her death? This was written 8th of October, 2020, and I would like to attribute to, it seems, regular vigils. And this picture was regular vigils have been held in Kentucky for Miss Taylor. And that's Getty Images. I'm not sure who it's saying who wrote this article, though. I'd like to attribute them. That's BBC. And no, Craig, calm down. Who was shot in Louisville, in her Louisville home by U.S. police in March, has resonated around the world with protests demanding that the public, quote-unquote, say her name. On 23rd September, one officer, Brett Hankinson, was charged not with Miss Taylor's death, but with, quote-unquote, wanton endangerment. For firing into a neighbor's apartment. 2 other officers who were involved have not been charged. Her family sued the Kentucky city for the death in May and reached a $12 million settlement. Oof. I bet they'd love to have their daughter back, though. Breonna Taylor, 26, in this picture right here, Breonna Taylor, 26, was a decorated emergency medical technician. All right. I'm going to show you the picture of Breonna. She's in a work uniform. Look at her. She's part of the solution. She's not part of the problem. She's actually out there trying to help people. People should be applauded for, paying taxes and, being an upright citizen and, not just look. I mean, that to me, that's someone who's trying to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
If you ever want to get to it, I'll put the link in the description of where I began to get some of the information I got, including this particular video that kind of breaks things down, which we're going to look at right now.
Her intel is poor. They don't know she has a new boyfriend,
this.
and they think she lives alone. When 7 officers begin the raid at 12:40 a.m., they notice the lights are off, except for the flicker of a TV in a bedroom.
The light on the bedroom, the TV. I remember seeing it lit up blue when we pulled up.
suggesting
This
they
is good,
know
man.
where
I like
Taylor
this,
is.
Craig.
In less than 3 minutes, she would be fatally shot. Inside, Taylor had dozed off while watching a movie with her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. Adjacent is the bedroom of Taylor's sister, but she's not home. A hallway from the bedrooms leads to a living area, and the apartment's entrance is in this breezeway.
Oh, wow.
The only light is this lamp opposite her door, where now the police begin to stack. In this reconstruction, we hear the official testimonies given by the 2 officers nearest the door, Mattingly and Nobles. Cosgrove, who's providing cover.
Logistically, what do you think about this setup?
Fatal funnel.
Yeah, and look how they are in this area, and that door. So just keep that in mind. I just wanted, and I asked you that question because I know you probably have some experience with regards to how you approach and breach. But
yeah, it's a fatal funnel kind of either way. I think that's why they want to have the surprise. You do have to breach. I mean, there's really no way around it. That's why I think they have a riot shield there to kind of, at least one guy with a riot shield.
Sorry, you said that you do have to breach, and interestingly enough, in my mind, I asked the question, why do you have to breach? You have them in a space where they're not going to be able to come out any other way that you can't see.
And no one's covering the window, which is kind of weird.
It's just off out of view to the right.
So now to the discredit or credit, however you want to look at it, of both of us. Hindsight is always 20/20, and I believe that the desire that we both have when we talk about a subject is to be as knowledgeable about the subject as possible, so that one person doesn't blindside the other. And in discussing things, we most likely will discover or go over things that the other person didn't go over. So I think the exercise in general is not that we pick each other's understanding of a situation apart, but rather keep digging to make sure that we find the truth as much as we possibly can, given the information that's available to us. So in this case, I had already looked at this, and I thought it was a very good representation of, how things went down. And it seems as though Todd, generally specific on some information, utilizing information and skills that he already has, he mentions that, nobody's covering the windows. It turns out that somebody kind of already is, but he has the same regular concerns that any person would have, but also with a little bit more information, that being that he has been in the similar type situation. So my point is that you can analyze all of the things given the information that you have, but at the end of the day, what is the truth of the matter? And I think that this video kind of breaks it down in a very good way. I think what you'll actually see is that we both kind of get to the same point where we understand that things aren't maybe the way that it seems when you look at the full situation.
When we all got up in line, I knocked on the door, banged on it.
Just as Mattingly begins to knock, a man emerges from the apartment directly above. He doesn't live there, but is picking up his child after finishing work.
The door right there, that's why the babysitter, so I can go pick up my little girl.
A squabble with Detective Brett Hankerson ensues, and already the team seems on edge.
I remember Brett extending his gun saying, "Get back in your apartment, get back in your apartment." Brett was a little bit worked up. I remember looking at Brett saying, "Brett, relax. Brett, just relax, relax."
The man retreats inside. The police are supposed to be conducting a knock and announce raid, but that's not what Mattingly says happens at first.
We did.
Well, see, this is where it gets conflicting, but this is Mattingly out of his own mouth. So, and this is why I'm trying to demonstrate this is because there's what you hear from Fox, there's what you hear from CNN, and then there's likely the truth. And I don't know that either organization is giving. They might be leaving out inconvenient truths. They might be really exaggerating or misstating things that they call truth, and trying to get people worked up for one reason or another. But the more I'm watching this, the more I'm realizing so far that I feel like I've had blind spots with this a little bit. I feel like the narrative on the right was basically Breonna Taylor was a girl that liked to date bad boys, that she had loaned out her car. There was blood found apparently there'd been a body in the back trunk or something like that, according to DNA. That, you know, she had loaned her car to some drug dealer guy or whatever, and some kind of body transfer happened. I mean, all kinds of different stuff, right? So,
So here he's basically acknowledging that what his understanding of the situation, whether it be touted by the right or the left, is slightly different than what actually occurred, and so he's recognizing that he's having a moment.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, we'll do some digging and we'll do some checking, and we'll try to discover if we can't glean the truth. But this part right here with the SWAT team and the way that these guys are acting, this guy that just walked out of this apartment could have gotten shot, man. I mean, he could have been dead. You know, that quick. Just that quick. That guy, this man right here, mind his own business, not even knowing what's going on, could have just, bam, done. Out.
Didn't announce the first couple because our intent was to give her plenty of time to come to the door.
Inside, Taylor wakes up.
So it's a loud bang at the door. She hops up out of her sleep. It scared her to death. Me too. Like, who is that?
Banged on the door, no response. Banged on it again, no response. At that point, we started announcing ourselves.
Whether the police announce themselves clearly enough is a critical issue in this story that we'll. Not knowing who's at the door this late, Walker grabs his licensed handgun.
Another knock at the door. She's like, who is it? Loud at the top of her lungs. No response. So I'm like, what the heck?
They rush to get dressed and walk toward the door.
Never even made it like mid-hallway. But as loud as we were screaming to say who it is, I know whoever would be on the other side of the door could hear us.
Outside, some of the police do hear Taylor.
I can hear somebody inside. I kept telling John, I can hear her.
But after knocking and waiting for around 45 seconds, they decided they've given her enough time to respond and rammed the door open.
The last time.
Okay, well, hold on. 45 seconds, 12 o'clock at night, when most people are in bed. You see all the lights are off except for in the bedroom.
He says the same thing that I thought. Like, what the fuck? Like, 45 seconds doesn't seem like very long. Now, to the officers, it might seem like an eternity. But it's not very long at all when you have somebody about to bang your door down and you come out saying, what the hell is going on?
You think 45 seconds? I mean, maybe it's adrenaline. I mean, let's just unplug it. I don't know. To me, it's like maybe 45 minutes, everything slowed down, and it felt like a reasonable enough amount of time, Craig.
Yeah, it's reasonable to start it's reasonable to question, is that long enough? And by the way, are you announcing yourself loud enough that anybody else should or could hear you outside of this apartment? Because you saw the proximity of all the other apartments to this incident, to this area, and you'll find later on that they may not have been as quote unquote loud as they claim to have been announcing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I just said, let's just hit it, and that's when we did the police search warrant.
We'll show here what the police and Walker describe seeing next.
Hit it. After the third hit, it flew open, and that's when it hit the fan.
As we're coming to the door like comes off the hinges like an explosion.
The officers now make a tactical mistake. Mattingly steps into the doorway and puts
fatal
himself in
funnel.
what police describe as the fatal funnel.
Yep, there it is.
Vulnerable to gunfire and hard to move from.
Yeah, I mean, people.
It's true. Clearly, Generally Specific knows what the hell he's talking about. He does this often, to his credit. You can tell when he knows something, and I truly, sincerely believe it's not as if he's, seen a video and then he's, trying to pretend like he knows something before it actually happens. No. In this particular case, I'm pretty certain he has never seen this video before, and he never knew exactly what was coming up, the fatal funnel, which he, as a military person, having seen combat, knows exactly what he's talking about. So, and he's surprised, and he gives himself his own pat on the back, but deservingly so.
I could see down the hallway, and there's the male and a female side by side, shoulder to shoulder, almost like they were together.
The apartment is lit only by the breezeway light that's coming from behind Mattingly and the faint glare of the TV in Taylor's bedroom.
You can't see anybody, though. It was dark. There was no lights.
Thinking it's an intruder, Walker aims low, shoots once, and hits Mattingly in the thigh.
I feel like I aimed down because I wasn't, of course, I don't need to kill anybody. So I just let off one shot.
Mattingly immediately returns fire.
I got 4 rounds off, and it was like boom, 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 boom.
Then all of a sudden there's a whole lot of shots.
Mattingly fires 2 more rounds when he falls and takes cover. Almost at the same time, Cosgrove moves in and fires, stepping on Mattingly in the process. He has now also put himself in the fatal funnel, and although he's shooting, he appears to have no idea what's happening.
I see blinding, vivid. I don't hear any gunfire at all, ever. And I did not have any pain sensation or any recollection that I'm firing.
He continues shooting blindly until he runs out of ammunition, a total of 16 rounds.
If you told me I didn't fire a gun, I'd be like, okay, I believe you.
In response to Walker's shot, Mattingly and Cosgrove together fire 4 shots into a chair, cupboards, and a stove in the kitchen. 2 bullets go into the ceiling and pass through the living room in the apartment above, where the man, his 2-year-old daughter, and babysitter waited.
Wow.
3 more shots go into the living room wall to the right. And the officers fire 13 rounds down the hallway where Taylor and Walker stood. Taylor is shot 6 times on both sides of her body, in the abdomen and chest, her arm and leg, and twice in her foot. In all, these 2...
I gotta say this, man. This is really hard to... They did a good job of breaking this down.
I agree.
Excuse me. This is hard to know that was a life. That was someone's daughter, you know?
Amen. It puts it in a completely different light when you look at all of the things like this and all of the other outcomes that could have occurred. That when you see it like this, you wonder what other types of decisions could have been made. And this is an instance where it seems as though GS wasn't completely aware of the investigation that went behind all of these bullets that were shot and why. But now that he sees it in a different light, I think he has a different understanding, which ultimately my desire is for us to come to a certain point where we not necessarily disagree, but at least we have all of the information for which we can make a decision on. I think we become better off in that situation than not.
2 officers fired 22 rounds in less than a minute. An FBI ballistics report found that both of them shot Taylor, and that 1 of the 16 rounds Cosgrove fired was the lethal bullet.
Thank you for watching. If you have a video you'd like for us to cover, use the submit link in the description or pinned comment. If you enjoyed this one, consider subscribing and hit the bell to be notified of future content. Be sure to check out all of the other content we have for your edutainment. We will continue to respectfully exercise our First Amendment rights and publish the interactions we have with government officials. Remember to like, share, and leave a comment. It's the easiest way for you to let us know your thoughts about our channel.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, no, this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some loose shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh.